Hey guys, back again. Another Bricklaying vlog. It's Monday, and back on this fourth lift, square one. This is from the 4 profiles and fast hands video. This is that's the third lift of that video, and then this is the fourth lift of it. Dan's broke us something this morning, so he's not in this morning. Well, today, so it's a solo Monday, as we're used to. I think this time last year I was completely solo. I think Mel was in with me actually, but she's going to come and help, I think, she said. When we need her. But yeah, the weather's been shit anyway, so that's probably one of the main things when you're solo, is you can always sort of make money, especially these prices, especially on an odd day you have your labour off or you're wicked solo on an odd day. I always say capitalise on the time you can. But yeah, we're going to load out for 2 packs of bricks on loading bay now. 2 packs of bricks. I've got to find some of these contrasters for these little corner coins, whatever you want to call them. So I've got 2 packs of bricks, we'll load them. It's 5 to 9 and we'll get going. Tunes are on, let's go. Right, it's 11:45 now. I'm all set up. I've moved about 2.5 packs of bricks, all 4 profiles set up. And yeah, check it out. I've got my bins set up ready to just 4 bins, 4 tubs. Little 30 brick flank. What is it? Is it 30? No, about 25 brick flank. Check it out. So on my own, I just run from just like a window to another window sort of thing. So that's like 25 brick, easy enough to run in. And just got to now run my new lines out. I finally got some new ox line. This is the line I found. It's the thinnest, strongest, most affordable. That's all it is. Just as the ticks the boxes. I don't know if it's the best, but this is what I use. So yeah, bought some new corner blocks as well. Yep, that's gone. So bit of WD-40 for the old ox. Dory block. So yeah, right, let's go. So it's 3 o'clock. I've used 2 tubs, but I've got my tubs filled right here. They're full. It's 3 o'clock. I'm going to run this in now. Check out the little setup. I'm going to prop the camera up somewhere. Still don't fucking know where I'm going to put it. I think I'm just going to have to stack. I've got a spare bin. I'll bring a spare bin round. Get some footage for you. Check it out. So, because that's a 3 brick return, I'm just going to use level because I've already got my levels up as dead man profiles. Line's on, that's to height, so I'm just going to run that in now. Got all my cuts done, both sides, and yeah, I'll set the camera up. Right, see you in a bit. Hey guys, this is going to be a voiceover for first bit of this video. I thought I'd do one of these because I started the channel doing voiceover after voiceover. I got really good at them and I've just stopped doing them. And it's hard now to do them. It's hard. It is a bit of an art commentating over clips and stuff like that. It's a bit of an art to continuously speak and then don't sort of draw a blank because it's so easy to do. So after that solo start to the day, or it's been solo all day, should I say? That's a prime example of where you fuck up speaking. You say like the wrong words in the wrong order. So yeah. Because we're solo today, I didn't expect to get this much done. It's a little bit demotivating when you flat start on a plot to, especially, it's probably a 4th lift your easiest lift to sort of flat start on because all the windows are set. 4th or a 2nd lift, all the windows are set. You haven't got quite the volume of bricks to lay because on this site they do the scaffold lift properly. So on your 3rd lift, I take it like 20 course, and then your 4th lift's 15 course, which is really, really good. Like it's similar on your first. So on your 1st lift, I go 20, and then your 2nd lift's 15 or something like that. Or maybe it's 16 to joist. I can't remember. But I think it works better that way. It works so much better. Like reaching anything higher than like sort of 20. Is super slow. Ideally, like if I was doing a concrete house, I'd only reach 18, and then it evens it out. You've got like sort of 18, and then you've got a 17 course lift. It
works out so much better just going 17 or 18 course. And if you notice, this is the first course I'm putting on. Look how many course of bricks are showing from the scaffold board. It's like 4.5 course, which is fantastic. 4.5, 5 course. This is how every scaffold lift should be. You know, this is how they should lift your third lift, but they never do. They never leave this much showing. You know, you want a minimum of 3, but you normally get 1 or 2 now, which makes it makes housing, you know, less appealing, because if you're going to be bending that far down, you know, you might as well just do footings. But you know, when the scaffold's right and everything, it makes housing a pleasure, because, you know, there's a lot of things to remember on houses. These houses I'm building are dead simple. You know, most of them are square. I always get the bad plots. You know, don't be disheartened as well. You know, if you're on a site and you get given like 2 or 3, you know, non-square plots, and you just a lot of times just get through and build them. And the quicker you get at building, the more difficult sort of in and out plots that aren't always square. You know, the more money you'll make when you do get on a square plot. So, like for instance, you know, you saw that 1100 brick solo in a day. That was on a plot with like 10 corners. You know, it wasn't the easiest plot to build. You make less money obviously building the you know, the non-square plots, should I say, the octagon plots. I mean, no, it'd be like more than that because it had 10 corners, but you know, but you can't always have the square plots, and the thing is, you're not always going to get them, and I very rarely get the easy plots. You know, even though that's where you do make your money, and that's where it's easier to make your money, but the faster you get building anything, and the neater and more accurate, and meaning neat and accurate equals speed as well, because if you're always making like little fuck ups, little roughening stuff up a little bit, that's slowing you down. You want to get it perfect, bang on first time, and that's what speeds you up. You'll see in about 5 minutes I've forgot my contrasting coin bricks that should have been on my first course, but I take them off, obviously cut the clip and whatnot, and they'll suddenly appear. But that cost me about 5 minutes to alter, 10 minutes. But you think if you make 3 little mini mistakes like that a day, you could be that could be costing you half an hour, and you start making like little micro mistakes over and over again. It's going to slow you down by hours, and if you get everything right first time, bang on, you know, you speed yourself up without even thinking. So, but yeah, I've not been making as many videos just because sometimes it's hard to record all the time, especially when I've got Dean with me and he's on the trowel, and we're trying to get enough bricks down to cover both wages in, you know, a fairly decent time period, because I don't start much earlier than like 8:30 now, and we finish about 4:30, 5ish is the latest, and at about 4:30 today we're getting dark, so you'd have had a head torch on if you were working till 5. So, you know, especially in the winter months with sort of intermittent days where you're not getting as much done because you sat in car waiting out the rain and stuff, I tend to not film as much unless I'm solo, and Dean tends to, he's been doing sort of like a 4 week, then I'd have a 4-day week, like this will be a 3-day week for him. So, you know, I have my fair few solo days, but it ain't always a bad thing, you know. I find it easy to get stuck in on my own because I've got these tubs, I've got such a regimented way of working solo because I've done it for that many years, on and off, because, you know, you're not always going to have someone with you that, you know, they can be sick, they could be ill, they, you know, might not be working a set week, they might be on holiday, and if you know you're always going to be at work, you know, you're going to find yourself on your own at some point, because, you know, someone isn't always going to want to work as much as you, you know. That's why I just have people work with me on day rate, and because obviously I'm going to always be there. I'm going to always be there, and they're not going to always want to be working, and they're going to have days off. And I don't think I've had. What did I have? I think I lost 4 days last year with weather. I didn't have any sort of time off, other than I think I had a Friday to go to his caravan. But that I don't sort of have much time off at the moment, just because of that stage of my life where I'm just paying shit off and working, and I enjoy work. I enjoy coming to work every day. It's the momentum of not having a day off it's easy to keep going if you don't have one off, because the momentum's there. But when you have a day off, it's hard to restart. So I even if I only work till 12, 1 o'clock and get a bit wet loading out or get a bit wet building something, I like to try and at least have a go, just to keep my momentum and keep turning up. And even if I go and load out and then go home and stuff like that, it's just easier to keep the momentum, keep trying, keep having a go. And if you can get that mentality, some people, they sort of stress when they've been sat in the car an hour or two, or they've been there since 7, which I don't understand why a lot of people still do that. But they get there, they don't look at the weather app before they come, or they get there too early before they can get the motor, or before they can get on site. Some sites, a lot of sites now, don't let you even sort of get on the scaffold till 8, or make any noise till 8. So a lot of the time people's head are going, if they, a lot of gangs rely on belaying at 7:30 to make any money. And I think you ain't got to work like that. You've got to sort of streamline and optimise things enough to where, I didn't start laying today till 12 o'clock, and by 4 o'clock I'd laid my last brick. So in 4 hours I'd laid like just shy of 600 bricks, 560 or something, 570 I think it was. But you've got to be able to get organised enough and be quick enough to not have to rely on starting at a certain time to make your gang viable. That's why I always just work one-on-one. I've always thought about going a bit bigger, getting another lad in for 3-4 days a week, get another lad in to get Dean laying all the time. But I know it just wouldn't work some days it'd work great, but consistently I know it wouldn't work. I'd be losing money. I'd be paying people for no extra output, because I know there's a lot of time on sites where a manager or whatever will say, oh, you need to get another lad to get stuff up quicker, but that requires you to now have more gear, more forklift lifts in a day. Like today I only required 4 lifts, 5 lifts, 3 packs of bricks, 2 tubs of gobbo, and 5 lifts on some sites will be a big ask. But like on this site, it's no issue. 4 lifts bang on, and there's 2 of them most of the time. And when there's only 2 of you, you don't need gear coming at you helpful heavy. You don't mind waiting 10 minutes for a lift, or even half an hour. As long as you're organised in front ahead of time, one-on-one is always viable. And you can definitely get plenty of gear down. Like me and Dean, on the days he's laying, we're doing over 1,000 bricks, and obviously you've seen what I can do on my own and stuff like that. So, which is not obviously your average 2-on-1 probably does, the average 2-on-1 in this day and age, because there ain't that many good gangs, probably 500 or 600 bricks between 3 guys. And that's not because like there's anything wrong with doing that amount of work. It's just because the prices are that good. You don't need to do more than that. 300 bricks where I live gets you about 210 quid. So depending on what they give the labourer, and depending on what the bricklayer wants to earn, which a lot of bricklayers now are happy earning 160, 180 quid a day. There's loads like that, and they'll turn up at 8 o'clock and leave at 2, and they'll earn the 180 or whatever, and that's it. They'll work 11 on Friday, and that's it. And that's why as a one-on-one, you sort of, to become a proper one-on-one, like sort of me and Dean, you've got to output more work than your average gang, your average sort of 2-on-1 gang. You've got to be given the work of to be given enough work to make good money. You need to output enough work. So it's hard. It's an hard process. I've always been a one-on-one, but I worked in a gang before for a year or 2, and sort of built some speed there. But a lot of the time you just got to keep practicing, and I did 2 years at college practicing bricklaying before I even got an apprenticeship. So there's always things to build towards as well. There's always things you can always get quicker. I'm getting quicker every month, every year. And even after all this time, which you think, oh, once you've laid 1,000 bricks in a day, like how much quicker can you get? You can get a lot quicker. You know, I know bricklayers who can lay 2,000 bricks in a day, but you know, questionable quality, like. But you know, nevertheless, there's nothing to be took away. I know a lot of my videos I get people, you get a lot of jealous people slating you, calling you rough just because you output a lot of work, and that's not the case. You know, the reason why I'm getting a lot done is because I get it right first time, and I don't waste time with unnecessary movements. I'll go over a little bit how I spread with the little trowel and tubs. You know, a lot of people think this little trowel and tub is pick and dip trowel only, which I've not actually been doing pick and dip for the last couple of months really, because I've on this site particularly, these red bricks, every plot I've got bar one, I've been on these dry red bricks. They don't pick and dip very well. If you can see, look at the top of the bricks, look at the size of the holes. You know, they don't work very well for pick and dip. The mortar, when it was warm, because we've had quite warm weather for the time of year, the mortar doesn't last very long. It only lasts about an hour and a half in the tub top. So I've been just getting 3/4 tubs, and the only time I can pick and dip is weather like today, where it was a little bit damp, a little bit cooler. And now we're coming into sort of the cooler and wetter months. The bricks are a little bit damp as well, so they're pick and dipping a lot better. The joints are filling, and you can see I'm taking some of the excess there, just dropping it straight in front on that spread, just to mound that spread up a little bit more, so that perp fills a little bit better. You can see they don't all fill perfect. If they get a little bit hungry towards the top two corners, the centre of the joint is full. It's just the top outside corners that sort of tend to get a little bit hungry sometimes. So it can take a little bit more pointing. If you look in my YouTube shorts, I've got a technique called the front tip pick and dip, and it works great on sort of boundary walls where you ain't gonna see the back, but it works great also on housing where I do a back tip on garages, a back tip pick and dip, and a front tip pick and dip. It helps, you know, your pick and dip gets the centre mass of your joint. You're dragging that joint back and you're filling the centre mass, but what you're failing at sometimes is pressing that mortar right to the outside flush with the right flush outside with the perp, so you sometimes do get some little voids on the outside. The centre mass is full, so that's what a front and a back tip can help, especially on garages where you've got to point the back. It can just help fill that joint right out. A lot of people say, oh, they're not full perps, and what a non-full perp would be is if you just put in a tip on the front and the back of the joint with grooves in your spread, and there being not in the middle of the perp being hollow. But if you see every time I remove my hand, you see the top of that brick, there's mortar squeezing out the top of that brick, and that shows a full joint every time. You do get haters who are just not. I know there's a lot of people watch these videos who aren't bricklayers who just hate anyway, but you can see every time that. You can see it squeezing out like a burger in the middle of two slices of bread. It's coming out of the middle of that joint, but sometimes just the front elevation of the brick, as you're looking at it, it doesn't quite fill, but the actual centre of the perp is full. You know, it's a bit of a misconception. Pick and dip doesn't fill your perps. It's probably the best technique for filling your perps. You know. And because you don't put any grooves in your spread, which I lay all the time without grooves, it's just a bit of a waste of time now. I find when you put grooves in your spread, depending on the brick obviously, a lot of the time you're just helping that gobbo fall down out of the back of your brick and into the cavity, whereas with these big perforations in the brick, with just laying a pyramid spread, you know, just laying the spread and cutting the back of the front off, you know, all that mortar's going into the brick and making a more solid wall, in my opinion. Whereas when people put big deep grooves in the spread, they're just resting the brick on top of the spread, and there's a void there. So, you know, people think it's rough what I do, because I'm just cutting out that sort of furrowing movement, and over 500-600 bricks, you wouldn't believe how much time that saves. Whether you're laying traditional or you're laying like a pick and dip variant like I'm doing now, or a long spread with just putting your joint on. You won't believe how much time that saves. And because you're always with pick and dip as well, which people don't understand it who can't do it, but once you learn to sort of lay without putting grooves in your spread. And once you learn to pick and dip sort of all the time, you drag your brick back naturally anyway, whether there's a perp there or not. So whether you've already put a perp on the brick, you're still forming an extra perp as well, so you're making an even fuller joint. So it's definitely something to note for the beginners and the people who are on the fence about trying it. As you can see, you can get plenty of mortar on this 6.5, 7 inch Marshalltown, which is worn down. All my Marshalltowns are wearing down like hell now. But they are the best lift. The best lift. Wooden ones are about 30 quid, which I'm using here. And you can see with gloves on, the handle feels quite thick, and I've got quite long fingers, and I've had no trouble with it. It just takes a couple hours to get used to a trowel and a handle before it comes natural. And you can still see doing a long spread pick and bip here, it's still mega rapid, and you can still get tons of mortar on the wall. And this is on this type of brick, which needs a lot of mortar. So another thing that people wonder why I use the small trowel for everything. It keeps my hands fresh all day. Bricklaying's a marathon, not a sprint, and you want to keep the pace of your hands up all day. This is one thing I could never get my head around, fast bricklayers, how they keep their hands fast all day. And this has just sort of given me a shortcut to doing that. Like, my hands can stay fast, I can stay less fatigued all day, I never get wrist strain at all. I think that was one thing I used to find after like 400 or 500 bricks on using normal trowel. I get some ridiculous wrist strain, especially Connie bricks as well. Connie bricks were a nightmare with wrist strain. That's even with the little trowel. But these clays with this little trowel, like, you're getting no wrist strain, and you can consistently work at a quicker pace and just at easier pace as well. Like today, it felt like a breeze, to be honest. It felt like a breeze, and I didn't feel any sort of fatigue in my arms and stuff like that. And I don't know if you can notice by the footage, I've lost a substantial amount of weight. I'm about 11 or 12 kilos lighter than probably some of my last videos in summer when I was on those Connies pick and dipping. And I tell you what, having the small trowel, having a combination of using tubs with my little, if you've seen the little rope handles I've got on them to drag them around the scaffold, all these little things that are taking load off my body, they speed you up over time. You might not see it instantly within a day, you might not think it's any quicker in a day, but you do lift after lift, and you realise this new way you're working is a lot easier. It's so much. I find it so much easier with these tubs as well. There's the volume of mortar you can get in them, as opposed to lifting buckets and then lifting buckets onto a board. Because the mortar goes so dry on a board. It's unbelievable. I don't want to go back to a board. I could see myself doing it at some point, but I just like the motion of scooping out of a tub. It's so much easier on my wrist compared to a board. It's a strange movement, but once you master it and you get used to doing it, you don't want to go back to using a board. You just don't. I know some people do like it, but I couldn't even see myself going back to using a 9-inch trowel either. This trowel, I feel like it's so much easier to get around tie wires with. Sort of everything, blocks, bricks, whatever I'm laying. I find it easier. I couldn't imagine going back to a bigger trowel, and I can't see ever a time where it'd make me quicker, because you've seen in this 4-hour clip how much work. You'll see at the end how much I get done, but in 4 hours it's more than enough work. And you string it, if I'm stringing an 8-hour session of laying in, that's 1,100 bricks. Would a bigger trowel make any difference? It'd probably slow me down because of the wrist strain, the fatigue factor. You can't keep up the same hand speed as long with a bigger trowel. It's just that's it, and then you'd want to stop. But there's never a time I feel like I only stop because I run out of daylight. I only stop because it's 4:30 and it's time to go home. It's home time. I don't stop because I'm tired, and that's one thing I was aiming for, and I seem to have got there with these tubs and little trowels. It's sometimes I do question it myself. Has it been the right choice going for tubs and a little trowel? And I always come back to the same conclusion: how much work am I getting done? And it's more and more every day. And I think, how do I feel? Do I feel tired? And I think, no, I'm feeling like pretty all right all the time, pretty refreshed every time. So there's a few few little burst speed bursts here. Me getting a few in. Also as well, for anyone wondering, after the bricks get below my knee, I've got fairly long arms, so I don't even really have to bend that far to get them even below my knee. But I just, as I bend down, as I find myself bending excessively, I'll just quickly grab like 12 bricks in threes and just stack them on top of each other and get that stack, nice back up to waist high at least. And I find it a lot easier. Also here, obviously, I said I was building this freehand, and if you've got to sort of weigh up as well how long it's gonna take you to walk from one end of the plot to the other to move the line up to where you could have just laid that brick freehand. It might even be the similar speed, but then you've got to think about the time it is to take your line off and run your line all the way around back and set your lines up as well for a double line setup for just such a short run. So you've got to think about that as well. But if you're ever in doubt and you think that it's going to be too much hassle, just quickly move your line back down and just build the corner freehand. Especially if you've got a profile up to give you at least one plumb point up to your profile side, your window side. It takes away some of that as well. And I do prefer these windows in check as well. If you can see my levels clamped up the reveals, I find it so much easier. When they're not in check, you have to sort of wall to the former, and if the former's bowed, which a lot of time they're never perfect, it slows me down horrendously. So it is a breath of fresh air on these in check windows, and I find it easy to break the headers properly as well. You just break a brick in half, and I can see 100mm, and I find it easier to cut a proper half than a snap header. And because the snappers, you either cut them too short or too long. That slows me down horrendously as well. So you've got to find what you prefer as well. I don't always find houses the most exciting thing to build, but when you're on a nice square plot like this, and the scaffolds at the right height, and the bricks are just the right, they're not too dry, they're not too wet, and the mortar's good, it's a pleasure. So, but there is a lot of variables, and the mortar on this site is a bit hit and miss depending on what silo you're using. So, yeah, we've got a little bit of info for the video. So yeah, a little touch on. I've got another little sort of summit that I wanted to show you guys. I didn't get any footage of it, but I've got a new shovel. I've got a micro shovel, just a cheap roughneck one, about a tenner. But I tell you what, it's meant, you have to do maybe, a third more, shovels with it, but it's so much easier on your arms when you're shoveling into them tubs. That's another thing, right? I'm trying to streamline everything to be light in the hand, so I'm not taking away, I never feel like I'm taking away from my hand strength or my hand speed, filling the tubs up, because the old shovel was heavy. It had a big blade on it. It was covered in gobbo. Well, we've got this little one now, and you're not tiring your arms out. I sort of emphasise this for bricklayers, but the fitter you are, the easier you make everything, the quicker you can go, and the longer you can go, and you get more done. You just do it. It's a hard fact and a hard sort of reality of bricklaying, but it's just a numbers game. It's an output game. The more efficient you can be, and the quicker you can be, and the more accurate and the easier you can make your life, just more you get done. There isn't any magical technique or magical way of doing it. It's just finding something that's easy for you, and just trying something different as well. There's a lot of guys who, they were taught one way, or they see a lot of people doing it a certain way and don't want to change it. Like, a lot of people don't work like I'm doing. The little tubs and the little trowel and working out of tubs. No one really does it, but it's really clicked for me, as in the way I like doing it, and I really enjoy it like this. I never have an hard day, if you get. Even though I put in a lot of effort and get a lot of work done, it never feels hard, because I'm always just quick whip of the wrist and gobos on the wall. So, right, I'm gonna put some music on and have a little bit of raw footage for you guys, so you can hear a bit of the ASMR style. Hope you've enjoyed it. Hope you like the voiceovers, and I'll see you guys at the end of the video. Yeah, I'll call jump, I'll snap it.
It's just gone 4:30. We're all done. About just short of 600 bricks in there. Flat start for 8 hour, steady. That's good. That is good. Not done that easily in a while. So yeah, check it out. So there's Gable. There we go. I'd normally load up that pack of bricks that I got up earlier, but I'll do it. I think Dean's in tomorrow anyway. So right, I'm gonna get off. Right, see you in a bit.
So yeah, that was Monday. That was my version of a good day solo. Whenever you lay over 500 or 600 bricks solo, it's been a good day. I do like it when I get stuck in, when I start on a plot from nothing and then create something at the end of the day on my own. I do feel a lot of achievement with solo work. You know, a lot of guys, just a lot of bricklayers out there, they can't get stuck in on their own. The motivation goes, they can't do it. But just showing you guys, when you haven't always got a perfect setup or a perfect gang, you can still make a good day's living, still get plenty done and have a good day, and then you can keep setting yourself up for good days, you know, with being organised, profiles and stuff like that. Yeah, it's Halloween tonight. I'm only have one set of trick-or-treaters, but I told them to take as much as they want, so they cleared out half my bowl full of sweets. It's been a good night. I've spent about 2 hours on this video, so you guys appreciate the time I put in. I know I do get a lot of good feedback, a lot of positive comments, but the bad ones are proper. I don't know what it is about, you know, the human mind, but you might get 10 good comments, but the one bad, and all your focus goes on that. So, yeah. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed it. It took me about 2 hours to make this tonight. So, and our lads, if you can tell, in brighter spirits because our lads had a full night, gone to bed at 8 o'clock. He slept through last night, and he hopefully sleeps through tonight. I tell you what, getting a full night's sleep without being woken up, that is the quickest speed boost laying bricks is that out of anything I could recommend. That's the biggest fucking time saving tip, speed tip. Have a full 8 hours sleep, 9 hours sleep ideally. Also, I've been working through my snaps sometimes. I like a snap sometimes, depending on weather, depending on how the day's going. You know, sometimes you just run into problems. You just need a snap, need to walk away from it. But you know, this is as I'm getting closer to double digit body weight, so I'm almost under 100 kilo. I'm 107 at the moment. No, 106. It said this last, you know, on the scales tonight. The closer I get to sort of healthy body weight, it's days are getting easier and easier. So I play a bit of division now and chill out for a couple hours. And Buds is chilling. The cat we saved, a baby. Tell you what, ever since we had to get his bladder drained when he had some bladder stones. We say it was a couple hours away from permanent damage and dying. And I tell you what, ever since, he was always a loving cat, but ever since, he must have known we saved him because he just sticks by my side all the time now. All the time, he must have known. When I turned up to the vets with three different credit cards in my hand, yeah, fucking sort it. And yeah, it's fucking scary when that happens. Anyway, right, see you guys. I'll see you guys probably in about a week with another video. Thanks for watching. Also, follow me on Strava. Follow me running journey. Been 3 months off the booze, teetotal. So check it out. I do about 3 or 4 runs a week. Yeah, that's where I attribute a lot of my success for getting gear down on the job, being fast on my feet, fast on my runs. So right, thanks for watching. Follow me on Strava. See you in a bit.